Can you hear me now? You should be able to hear me now. That's rather embarrassing. I had, from my transmission yesterday, my mic on mute. Let's start that again, shall we? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pure GT Social Races. All you missed was me basically saying welcome and explaining why we weren't here last week. Well, 2 weeks ago, we had some technical issues with some frame rates being dropped and the stream cutting in and out. That was unfortunately why we missed Silverstone. And then last week, I was covering a Porsche race, and when Porsche come knocking and ask for you to actually cover their official series, you can't really say no, unfortunately. So that's why we weren't here with the Pure GT, but we are back for the Spa action, and it is certainly going to be tasty, I am sure. So, without further ado, let's get straight into qualifying, because we're coming slightly later thanks to the fact that there's not much in the way of championships to be running through. It's just a bunch of guys who are coming in and hopefully having some good races. So, let's get straight into the action and into qualifying. And if I can bring this up, sorry, my setup's slightly different, but see you in a minute. So, as you can see, we are at the Pure GT social races here this evening, and thank you very much to the guys for being patient with me over the past couple of weeks as well. It's certainly sort of meant a lot to me that I could go out and do the various things and obviously have the opportunities that I had. We've got a whole host of drivers here tonight, though. We're focusing back on this evening, and well, I'll bring up the race because I think there's a grand total of 26 drivers here this evening, which is fantastic to have along. And I'll just quickly, it might freeze for just 1 second, but don't worry, we're still here. You might see some of the cars go jumping in and out a little bit white as well, but with any luck, we'll have a minimum amount of that. Apologies, it's been a little while since we've set up the Pure GT series, thanks to the fact that obviously it has been about 2 or 3 weeks, so we're just getting 1 or 2 little issues, just getting through it. As I said, we've already had a little bit of a car park, haven't we, going into the final chicane here at Spa. Not surprising, it's one of the trickier tracks to get some space on, even though it is so long. You do often find that you're getting into the slipstream of someone, and all of a sudden you're into the braking zone just behind them as well, so it's not always the easiest. Now, a name that caught my eye just before, well, actually, I'll tell you what, we'll go through some of the protagonists that you may see towards the front ends of the circuit. Kevin McGlone, he is always around and about the top 5 and often has quite a following in the chat as well. So, Kevin, nice to have you back joining us as well, and good luck for the race. John Westbrook in the Spider-Man livery car. Now, this is a very interesting car, and a very quick car as well. Quite often seen right at the front of the field. John is probably one of those drivers that you'll end up seeing qualifying on pole position, as well as a whole host of race wins under his belt. We do have 3 races here tonight, so more on that in a couple of minutes. Where else I'm looking for? Chris Knox. In fact, there he is in the Scuderia Ferrari machine, looking very nice as per usual as well. A bit more traditional. It's weird because this paint job always reminds me of Sebastian Vettel now, and I know it's a bit more Michael Schumacher than Sebastian Vettel, but it's just weird the fact that Vettel has now gone to Aston Martin and is looking very different in his green livery that we saw announced today. But thank you very much, Katie Eames, for a like on the stream as well, and she says good luck everyone in the chat as well. Now, we've got 1 or 2 other drivers, and a name that did catch my eye is James Kell. Now, I don't believe this is actually James Kell himself. I think this is his dad. However, I have met James's dad, and I have raced against James Kell himself. He is a MX-5 Super Cup driver. He also drove in the, well, he's not anymore. That was a couple of years ago. He raced against me in the AM category of the Giannetta G55 well, Super Cup, basically, supporting the touring cars. So James is an extremely capable driver. He's now driving in the Toyota and British GT. That's what he did last year. I'm not sure if he's announced what he's doing this year, or indeed the lineup. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he is still racing that championship, because it was awesome to have him on the grid and to know someone on the grid as well. But I don't think that this is actually James Kell. I think it is his dad. I think Chris mentioned to me that he uses his iRacing account. If it is James, well, then that'll be quite exciting as well. Alec Westbrook, John's relation. I'm going to go that far. I don't know if it's his son, his brother. his dad. I really don't know which way around Alec and John are sort of ordered in the Westbrook household. As he dives at the inside of one of the cars we haven't been looking before. Absolute Dan on the YouTube chat. Thank you very much. Stream looking good. I hope it is. I hope it sounds good as well. Let me know if there's any clipping, because we have had some issues with the clipping, and I'm very much hoping what I've done has fixed such a thing. So it shouldn't be clipping with my voice. It may well be clipping with either the music that you heard in the build-up or potentially the rev noises in the background. So do let me know if it all sounds smooth and everything like that, because it's quite important, obviously, to get the full experience out to you. Barry Rabbit is having a bit of a struggle here by the looks of it. Paula Hoskin, thank you very much for the like on the stream as well. Awesome to have another supporter along. And also, good luck to Mark Hoskin. Now, Mark Hoskin, where is he? We're obviously focusing on Barry Rabbit here. Another one of the very quick drivers, the pallet storage. .ie. No wonder where, sorry, not that hard to figure out where that particular web browser is based, over in Ireland. And if we had a chat to Barry Rabbit a couple of times, to be honest, as we started streaming the Pure GT series, well, I say series, social races. Very nice guy, and very quick as well in the sim. Apparently, a few drivers have been getting a little bit quicker, a little bit cleaner as well. So we're very much hoping that the antics we saw at the likes of Lime Rock Park, where we saw more flying cars than we actually saw, clean racing, shall we say. And I think it repeated itself at Watkins Glen. Hopefully, we have a bit more clean racing here at Spa, and slipstream will be a big thing. Look at these Ferraris, though. They just look like ramps. No wonder they're going airborne whenever they go into each other. Turn up the car sound. Yeah, sounds good in general. I think the stream in general could be a bit louder. Levels are all good, though. James is driving in the car tonight, Jack. Oh, very much. I'm looking forward to seeing James Kell in the car then. I'll turn up the car sounds just so we get a little bit... Oh, maybe not that much. Hopefully that sounds okay. I am using a new microphone. That's the thing, since we set up the Pure GT sort of settings. So with any look, I sound a little bit clearer than I did last time these guys heard me, but it also sounds pretty clean for everything else as well. But the levels all do have to be changed around a touch as well. So Darren Kell is in the chat saying that James is actually driving, and clearly he's able to convert his real life pace into the pace on the sim as well. And this is quite weird. I've gone from actually, racing against these drivers to commentating on them. Well, if you can't beat them, talk about them at the end of the day, isn't it? That's unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, it's not very unfortunate for James, but he came third in the AM Championship and I came fourth. Almost had him if it wasn't for Brands Hatch being wet right at the end of the season. I really screwed that one, unfortunately. But 8 drivers so far have actually set a qualifying time. Quite a few have been out there to try and set one, but haven't yet. Well, that's due to the fact that they may well have not set a clean time. Now, in iRacing, for those of you who may not be quite aware, if you get an off track, so basically if you cut the corner or if you go too wide or anything, iRacing will give you a 1x, and that essentially means that you've had an infringement on that particular lap. And therefore, I'm like running too wide there on the Astro to throw as much speed through the corner as possible. That may well give you a 1x, and that will disqualify your qualifying lap. As we round into the final minute, we have actually, that's not just a small timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen. It is supposed to have everyone who set a legal qualifying time. And right now, it is showing everyone who set a legal qualifying time. There we go. Gevorgian is, Havana has set in a time, which means we now have 10 people actually qualifying. 26 are going to be on the grid, but they were just not going to be able to actually set a lap time at the moment. This is Spa at the end of the day. We've had 9.5 minutes and they've only managed 3 laps. You really need to be on it and putting in clean laps. It's better just to set a time, because at the moment that's pretty much guaranteeing you to get into the top 10 than not set a legal time at all. Even if it's 10 seconds off the pace, you will still end up in 11th because it is legal. And you can see a couple of other drivers in the background. Now, Richard Abra as well. Now, he's following James Kell at the moment. And last time we were out at Watkins Glen, he was extremely quick. I think he got 3 podiums, or, well, he definitely got 2 podiums out of the 3 races. I think he also got 3. And there we go. We are done with qualifying. And unlike a lot of other series, we're jumping straight into the first race. So here is your qualifying order. And it is Alec Westbrook on pole position, out qualifying John Westbrook. Now, that is a pretty good feat. And I'm sure some bragging rights in the family going the way of Alec there. Second row of the grid, James Kell and Mark Radcliffe. Radcliffe really improving. Martin Thomas and Richard Abra, 5th and 6th. 7th and 8th is Kevin McGlone and Dickens. Havana Gevorgian and Sam Marsh, the last drivers to actually set a legal qualifying time. Rabbit and Hunt, 11th and 12th. 13th down sees Nick Phelps, Hoskin, White, Montgomery, Wafer, Vea and Hayes in the top 20. Paul Black and David Harrison 21st and 22nd, with Newell and Jennings 23rd and 24th. Now, everybody's nearly lined up, so I'm going to have to do this quickly. Chris Knox 25th and Buchel in 26th, and that is actually all your drivers. So, 26 drivers. If you're wondering why on earth that sounded like I had to go so quickly, I wasn't reading them all out. It's because we have no idea how long this is going to take. It could take 30 seconds of gridding up if everybody connects, or it could take the entirety of the 2 minutes. So apologies if you didn't quite get your favourite driver and read out there. But we are almost about to go racing, aren't we? Now, stick in the comments who your favourite driver is, who you're supporting tonight. And if you give a shout out, give a like or anything, I'll be sure to try and shout you out. We're waiting on Alec Westbrook at the moment, Chris Knox and Terry Buchel in the back of the field. Now, I'm sure Chris Knox won't be too pleased with that because he is one of the drivers that is normally right at the sharp end. There we go. Alec Westbrook is now joined us on pole position. That was almost a gift of a pole position handed to John Westbrook, wasn't it? And it's not gone his way tonight. However, I think we're in store for a fantastic inter-family battle here tonight because Alec hasn't been showing that much pace in previous rounds, but John has. And as the lights have come up on your screen, we're about to go racing. Lights are coming on, engine notes rise, and we are racing here for the first time on a Wednesday night. Alec Westbrook gets a good getaway from John as well, and I tell you what, the top sort of 3 or 4... Oh, James Kell's gone into the back of Alec Westbrook, who did go very slowly into the first corner, into Stavelot, and that's let John Westbrook get a really good run around the outside. There's a driver off the track in the background as well. We'll try and catch who that is as we're going towards Eau Rouge for the first time. Nice and quick through there, even on cold tyres. These drivers not too afraid. 1 or 2 using the cut through as now all of a sudden we have got the slipstream, haven't we? And is Alec going to try and retain that top spot away from John? Will he be able to do it? That's the question that was about to be answered. In fact, there we go. So John Westbrook is still in the lead. Alec did get his name ahead, but only just, and there's a little bit of body contact with James Kell, and Kell looks like he turns him round. We'll try and get a good... Oh, he's been turned round by Mark Radcliffe as well. And that's real shame. All of a sudden they're parked sideways, and it's going to be a massive car park as the rest of the field pile into the back of him. We've already got an airborne car. One of them is upside down. That's James Kell, and I was looking so much forward to commentating on all of that. Havanas is actually the driver who's airborne pretty much. And there we go, half of the field already spawning back to the pit. Really gutting that we haven't got that sort of drama that we were hoping for. But look at this, John Westbrook out in the lead of the race by quite some margin. Alec Westbrook obviously got a bit tangled with a James Kell incident at the top of the hill. And that has allowed John to not only get away, but also Kevin McGlone and Martin Thomas to get through into 4th and 5th. And in fact, no, Martin Thomas, I said he was 5th, he's actually in the kitty litter. And that's not going to aid his opportunities either. We're on heat 1 of 3 this evening. It's 3 15-minute races. The first race is done by qualifying. The second race is a top 6 reverse. And the third race is a top 12 reverse grid, I believe. I don't think it's just a top 10. Oh my days. And there's always action in the Pure GT. I hope they're enjoying it because obviously it is a fun race. They are social races, but we are having a real nice close battle here between Mark Radcliffe and Martin Thomas. Now that Radcliffe and Thomas, both of which have really dived down the order. They're in 11th and 10th. They've lost 5 places and 7 places between them, unfortunately. So not really the best start by these guys, but with any luck they'll pick it up as the driver goes off there. That's John Newell in the very nice looking Leighton House liveried sort of bright blue or baby blue machine there. And nearly half the driver, well, I think about 10 drivers currently in the pits. Sam Marsh, look at that. It's a fantastic looking car. I'm sure when it is a little bit more clean, shall we say, undinged. But at the moment, as I said, John Westbrook away with the fairies, 2.5 seconds in the lead of this race already, and doesn't look like a slowing up either. So let's see if we can have a look at a few of those incidents that we had at the start. We all got away pretty cleanly, it has to be said. Then all of a sudden it started to get a little bit worse, didn't it? I'm just trying to have a look and see if we can find the incident between James Kell. I'm struggling to find it right now, though, so we'll see if we can come back to that one. Is this potentially the incident? Yeah, there we go. So this is on board with Alec Westbrook. Now he gets turned around there, I think, by James Kell, but all of a sudden you really want to be having a look at James Kell now, because he gets loaded in the back by, I think that was Mark Radcliffe, and then all of a sudden he gets parked right in the wrong place, isn't it? Trying to get a better angle. There we go. And if we go actually on board, now this is probably the scariest view for a racing driver you can possibly have. Parking sideways when you know there's about 25 other cars. I've done this before, not at Spa, luckily. But it all goes horrendously wrong there from this point on, doesn't it? As Barry Rabbit, does Barry get through? Now, he tagged one of the drivers there. Kevin McGlone and all them have got through, but Barry pretty much gets away unscathed. It's a thin part of the track there, you can't get past. Really gutting for the drivers, it has to be said. But they have got 2 other races to go, so fingers crossed we'll get some nice close racing. Martin Thomas has got his way up from 10th up to 8th place already, so he's gained a couple, even though he's ultimately lost. Now in front of him is Chris Knox. He's gained 18 positions. The driver who is pretty much responsible for setting this entire thing up. In terms of the server and obviously getting the drivers involved and getting them used to how they get on with iRacing. So a big thanks to Chris Knox. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him shooting around his iRacing knowledge and getting all these people involved in the race. And obviously he was actually the one who approached me to try and cover the race as well. So a big thank you to Chris Knox, who is, by the looks of it, just pulling away slightly. He's got good pace, Chris. There's no denying that. It's surprised that he didn't put a legal lap in to get onto the pole position, but we are where we are, and he's actually in 7th place. So Paul Wafer, we know that we've had him in the chat already and liking the stream. He's trying to hunt down the driver just ahead of him, which is Mark Radcliffe. Now, he was the driver. Obviously, he got tangled up with James Kell, and looks like he's just about gotten away with it. Having said that, he's not going to get away with keeping his position here. Paul Wafer using the slipstream to his advantage and getting into 11th position ahead of Radcliffe now. And this is what we're going to have tonight, isn't it? It's a lot of slipstreaming that's going to be occurring. And really, the drivers will just have to sort of expect it and deal with it, because there's not much that they can do to avoid it now. Sam Marsh has had a crash. What's happened to Sam now? He was obviously in that beaten up looking sort of new look Scuderia Ferrari. Oh, he's just had a spin, hasn't he, going into poo on. And some poo out coming in out there, unfortunately, I think. Paul Black's also had an incident relatively recently. Now this is interesting. He's going down, or going up the Camel Straight, disappears up the face of the earth, going into the chicane at the end, and over-rotates the rear end of the car. Now, if we were in the likes of the Porsche GT3, that would be very much expected. The Ferrari is slightly more easier to drive, but it's still a difficult machine nonetheless. This is Barry Rabbit now. He's 2/10 behind Matt Hunt, which is a very nice little battle that's occurring here. As I said before, in the qualifying, Barry is a quick racer, the Irishman. He's been doing plenty of real-life racing in his time in Ireland, and he slots up the inside of Max Hunt, who really didn't offer much in the way of a fight back, did he, there? It was a bit of an easy pass for Barry Rabbit. He's going past, I think that's James Kell just dabbing on the brakes, getting the, he's a back marker at the moment, James, which is why he's letting him through. He's currently in 19th place. But Barry now getting into the top 4, and he's got Kevin McGlone, who's in his sights. A couple of seconds up the road, about 2.5, but with Barry's current pace, he's about a second quicker than Kevin McGlone, even on the lap there where he overtook Max Hunt. So expect this battle to start brewing up nicely. So, battle for the top 10 between, well, top 9, you could argue, for Matthew Dickens and Christian Wafer. Christian Wafer in the Italian sort of style Ferrari there, very fitting, has to be said. Going up Eau Rouge and out of Radion, gets a nice, good run by the looks of it. Behind Matthew Dickens in the bright pink car. We're not going to be missing him, are we, going down the Camel Straight? Is the slipstream? How powerful is the slipstream going to be here? He's already within half a second, isn't he? It's not going to be this time round, but I expect we'll see a move by Christian Wafer within the probably the next lap if he keeps on top. Oh, unless he does that straight into the tyre wall. That's a heavy hit as the Ferrari over-rotated on the rear, and that's a nasty incident. In fact, he goes stage exit right as well as he tries to rejoin the circuit. And let's see if we can get a bit of an onboard with that, because it's a fairly classic incident, is it? He goes through the right-hander here, loads at the left. Oh, too much power. Didn't catch it quick enough or come off the power straight into the wall. And that's, unfortunately, a really good potential race done and dusted. He's already down into 24th position thanks to the fact that he is currently sat in the pits. And I do have a fast repair, I believe. If they didn't have a fast repair, I'd be absolutely amazed. The gap between Barry Rabbit and Kevin McGlone, then, what is it? It's 2.16 seconds at the moment. You can see on the battle tower on the right-hand side of your screen, the sort of battle between these drivers out on the circuit. And you can see on that one, it's quite helpful when the drivers start getting muddled up, that behind him is Max Hunt. However, behind him on track is James Kell. So the bright green car that you can see is, this is a good example of the way the battle box works. That he's on there at the moment, he's in 19th place, but it's actually Richard Abra who would be the next threat in terms of the track position for these drivers. Barry currently rotating, and I have to say, Kevin McGlone actually improved his time then. His last time was dipping into the 2 minutes 19, but Barry's still about half a second quicker than him. I expect this fight will turn. Well, he'll get the slipstream in about half a second's time. Well, I'd say half a second. It means when he is actually within about half a second closer of Kevin McGlone, and then we'll start seeing it. With 5 minutes to go, though, there's only about 3 laps in this race, so not that long at all for him to be able to get up and running. And in fact, actually, Max Hunt is probably closer and is more of a threat to Barry Rabbit than the other way than Barry Rabbit is to Kevin McGlone. Max Hunt has the slipstream at the moment, but he doesn't seem quite able to keep with him in the infield of Spa here. It's a tricky circuit. I've raced here myself. I say I raced here myself. I followed a safety car around for about 16 laps and then drove all the way home. It was a bit of a disappointment, but it still is an epic. Well, when we were here practicing and qualifying and before we ended up getting a safety car, it was quite an entertaining track to drive. It's just we were in the Ginetta G40s, and it probably wasn't quite the track for it. Topping out on the Camel Straight because we couldn't actually get to our top speed. We were stuck in 4th gear. If we ever tried to shift to 5th, the hill was far too steep for our little 1.8 Z-Tech engines. Chris Knox, he's caught up Rich Abra quite nicely. He's at 0.9 seconds, and I have to say, the reason for that is because he's one of 3 drivers that's currently rotating in the 2 minute 18-second margin. The other 2 are the Westbrook brothers at the, well, say the Westbrook brothers, it just sounds good, they might not be brothers, in 1st and 2nd at the moment, but the gap between them is about 2.5 seconds, so they're not going to catch each other. The only other driver to be in the 2 minute 18s at the moment is this man you're on board with, Chris Knox, and in fact, I think this is going to be a fairly quick move that he's going to launch on Richard Abra as they go towards the final chicane. We are on the last lap of the race, and John Westbrook's just come across the line to start that. So Chris Knox slots up the inside. There was no real defence there by Richard Abra, was there? He probably knows that Chris Knox is not going to necessarily be the fight that he's going to score a lot of points with. Well, there's no points on offer here tonight, but at the moment, that is Richard Abra giving a potential pole position for the reverse grid, because this is the final lap and the reverse grid is the top 6 for race number 2. So I'm slightly surprised that Richard didn't really decide to defend that any harder, to be honest. A driver we haven't featured that much is a driver that's currently in the lead of this race, and it is John Westbrook. 2.3 second margin, or 2.4 second margin between himself and Alec. Alec obviously qualified on pole position, John on 2nd place, but after a kerfuffle with the likes of James Kell in the 1st lap, has meant that John has really driven away with this and hasn't really been challenged too much. Speaking of unchallenged as well, Alec has driven away from Kevin McGlone something, a rather large margin, has to be said, 7.3 seconds. Barry Rabbit has caught up to Kevin and is the 1.3 behind. We'll see. I'll keep an eye on the timing tower to see if that is going to evolve into something. Although, having said that, I think as they've come all the way up the Camel Straight and the slipstream hasn't taken that great effect, I don't think we're going to be changing the order too much here tonight. But with any luck, maybe racing standards will be a touch better in the second and third race, and we'll get some nice close battles with drivers who really deserve to be fighting for the front end of this grid. It's not just John and Alec, who are obviously very quick, or Chris Knox, who will start on pole position. And to be honest, if he gets a good start off the line, I'd be amazed if he doesn't retain that position for the majority of the second race. But that's all to come, obviously. So although we're supposed to have a 15-minute race here, it looks like we're going to sort of end slightly early, about a minute early, which I'm sure John Westbrook won't be too bothered about. And in fact, Barry Rabbit is now within 0.7 of a second. So as soon as we see John cross the line, we are about to get the checkered flag. We'll shoot back to Barry and see if there's a little bit of a battle going on for that top 3 position, that final podium pace. You can just about see them. But coming across the line will be the Spider-Man car to take the first victory here at Spa for the Pure GT Social Races. Him and Alec both. Oh, there's been a crash. There's been a crash, a massive incident between Barry Rabbit and Kevin McGlone. I said there was probably not going to be a switch of order. There's been a massive switch of order. Chris Knox comes home to take 4th place. Max Hunt actually was the driver who got on the podium there, as Kevin McGlone and Barry Rabbit ended up taking each other out. And I'll see if I can find where on earth that happened, because obviously that is not ideal for those drivers. And here it is, Barry Rabbit. Oh, there was an incident. Let's just rewind that. It doesn't look the best potentially, but we want to have a good look. Now, defending was Kevin McGlone. A little bit. Oh, that's a very, very ambitious move by Barry Rabbit, wasn't it? But is Kevin going across now? I'd expect him to start turning for the corner, which he does, but he gets loaded by Barry, who looked like he outbroke himself going into the final corner, and that's really a big shame because Barry was clearly quick, but Kevin was just a bystander, to be honest. He didn't have any choice in that one. He was going for the corner. He was going at the pace he felt comfortable with, and unfortunately, he got rear-ended. As the rest of the drivers are starting to come back into the, finish off the race at the moment. In fact, we've got Sam Marsh, who's having a nice little fight here. And, he's about to finish off. Well, he's about to go onto the back sort of area of the track. The next opportunity to maybe get the slipstream and catch up to the likes of Christian Wafer here, who's come back out of the pits after his earlier crash. In fact, all of these drivers have been involved with an incident here or there throughout this evening so far. But I have to give a big shout out to Sam Marsh. That is an absolutely stunning car, is it not? As they go on towards Blanchimont, it's that driver who's blinking in about existence. It's Paul Black as well. He is blinking in and out. Christian Wafer trying to make a move on him, but there's a cutback opportunity here for Sam Marsh. It's not going to happen though, as the checkered flag comes at them far too quickly for that to be classified as a photo finish, and they do come across the line. So we can bring you the race results here for race number 1 just before we get into the second race. Actually, I think we've got a little bit of a warm-up before we go into the second race. So here it is. John Westbrook confirmed the victor. He was quite a way ahead, 2.5 seconds ahead of Alec Westbrook. We really came off the throttle. Max Hunt, in fact, we're going straight into the next race. So we'll run through the top 10 and then come back to it a little bit later. John Westbrook and Alec Westbrook, the top 2 positions, with Max Hunt rounding out the podium. Chris Knox ended up coming from the back of the field to finish 4th with Kevin McGlone in the top 5. Richard Abra, Martin Thomas, 6th and 7th with Matt Diggins in 8th, and Mark Radcliffe in 9th. Mark White rounds out the top 10, and then pretty much everybody is a minute behind anyway. So let's focus on the drivers, because we're going straight in, no messing about, for the second race. As all 5 lights start to come on, we are racing here for the second time this evening. Richard Abra on pole position, followed by Chris Knox in 2nd place. A bad start by Kevin McGlone means Max Hunt is gotten past him. In fact, so is a few others. There's already Mark Radcliffe loading into a few of the drivers. I'm amazed there wasn't more contact there in the background, but Richard Abra and Chris Knox really going through nicely. Here's Kevin McGlone's point of view. He's got Barry Rabbit. Is it going to be a repeat? Oh, it's so close to being more contact between Barry and Kevin, but Barry actually ended up in the wall as they go through Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time. James Kell gets through. He's cutting the corner as Barry Rabbit is still causing chaos in the background. He's definitely got damage on that car, I feel, and it's not aiding him as they come back up the hill. James getting a good start, though. He's up 11 places along with Adam Hayes. Up 11. Oh, and in the background there, the McLaren-looking Ferrari, which is an odd thing to say, is not looking too fresh. Peter Jennings heads straight into the wall, and there's carnage here on the Camel Straight. Mark White was one of those drivers, I fear. So let's just bypass that, and we'll have a look a little bit later as there's another car going off in the background. But this is Paul Wafer ahead of James Kell, who... Oh, Paul, what's he done? He just seems to really stop around the outside there and let a whole host of drivers just go straight on past. How's he? Good evening to you, Dame of it. That's a shame for Kevin. It is indeed. Just taking a quick drink. I haven't actually stopped talking in about 20 minutes, so apologies if you hear me having a quick break or two. Normally we have a co-commentator whenever we do these sort of things, so it's a little bit fuller. Here is Alec Westbrook, though. Now, he came second in the first race of the evening, but he qualified on pole. He's obviously fought his way from 5th position up to 4th. Not that far to fight, to be fair. Everybody in front of him, though, has done just that little bit better. Martin Thomas, he's currently in 3rd place. You're seeing Alex trying to chase him down now, but Martin is actually gained 4 position off the start. Max Hunt and Chris Knox both gained 2, and Chris Knox has actually gotten into the lead of this race. Now, we'll see if we can find what happened there, but it's not entirely surprising. Oh, look at this, Alec Waver going up the inside and going straight into the side of Martin Thomas, who I'm sure won't be too amused about that. Now, did Alec... let's have a look at his onboard. Going through Blanchimont. Now, this is a long way back. I think anybody will agree. This is a long way back. Oh, I don't think he's stopping in time there. He's missing the apex, and that is a long way back from Alec Westbrook. I wouldn't be surprised if there's words said, shall we say, between himself and the driver he took out, who was Martin Thomas. Now, this is James Kell. Nice to have him actually in the race this time round, trying to go past Martin Thomas. And indeed he has, and into the top 5. The driver who's gained the most amount of positions in 5th place at the moment. Love the TR livery. Indeed, all the liveries are looking brilliant, Mario. It has to be said. I'm sure you'll agree. So, Kevin McGlone and Alec Westbrook. Kevin's now got past Alec and is making his way up to the podium positions already. And Max Hunt in his sights, who obviously got a podium last time out, thanks to the fact that obviously there was that drama on the final corner between Barry Rabbit and Kevin McGlone. So I'm sure he'll be hoping to repeat such a thing. But with the likes of Alec, sorry, I've got the hiccups now. With Alec hunting him down, obviously Alec is a driver more than capable of lapping in the 2 minutes 18. Thank you very much, David Ward. I think Max will probably agree that maybe he's not quite on the same pace as Alec, and maybe that's why we've seen a few drivers jump out the way of each other, knowing full well that it's easier to sort of follow them and maybe learn a thing or two rather than fight them to the bitter end. Adam Hayes and, well, have a look at Albert Vea in a very traditional Italian-looking Ferrari. He's had a bit of a spin. He's going to touch the outside curves. It's an over-rotation of the rear. It's a classic thing to happen in these GT3 cars. No, iRacing has done that classic Spa thing and decides that every time someone comes into the pit, it's going to be a crash. And I fear Adam Hayes is about to have me off here again as well. And it is just, I mean, there's no way around it. That is a stunning looking car, and indeed it is. He's going into the pit lane. So thanks very much, iRacing, for tricking me like that. John Newell and Paul Wafer, everywhere you look pretty much in this pure GT racing, you get another sort of small story appear. And I'd say now, I know I'm biased, I know I'm purple mad, but have a look at that car by Havanas, and that is looking really rather tasty. Oh, he's gone straight up the inside. Oh, actually, that one's worked out, hasn't it? Paul Wafer, I don't know if he was expecting it or not, let him have plenty of room, and then, sorry, wasn't Paul Wafer, that was John Newell. Apologies there, and all of a sudden John is unfortunately not really close enough to try and oh my god, he's gone very close. As I say that, he completely misses his braking. Did he take off? I fear, in fact, let's have a look. Well, Havanas has had a crash, so that is an awfully long way back. I don't know where he was aiming for. I don't know if that is red miss or something. I'm not going to replay it anyway because it's not what we want to see, whether it was accidental or not. John Westbrook, now he's all the way down in 17th position, and I've absolutely no idea why. It's one of these things that sometimes we just have to flat out admit that I'm not entirely sure what's happened to John Westbrook. Obviously one of the protagonists of the series, one of the drivers we're quite used to seeing right at the front of the field, he must have got mixed up in one of those first lap crashes. In fact, yes, he has. He's in amongst all that mess, and he's facing the wrong way, and he's that'll be why. He must have had some bad damage coming to the pits, and yeah, you can already see he's really badly crabbing. He's apparently trying to go straight there, and he had to straighten his car up by turning right. So that is why John Westbrook is all the way down in 17th position. And Barry Rabbit's also down there after causing that issues. And well, not necessarily causing it, that might be a bit unfair. We haven't had a proper look back at it. But certainly being involved, shall we say. Mark Hoskin also was involved in that crash, and that is why he's looking the wrong way in the BDM machine. There we go, straightened himself back up now. Tell you what, Max Hunt is actually a little bit closer to Chris Knox than he... Oh, no, he's not. He's 5.5 seconds back. But Alec Westbrook is nice and close. Now, you can see on the battle tower on the bottom right of your screen that between Hunt and Westbrook is actually Nick Phelps. He's in 18th position, so discount him. That isn't for track position. He should, in theory, touch wood, get out the way of Alec Westbrook as quickly as possible. But I'm sure Alec, although he's given them the flash of the lights, will be hoping to use him for a little bit of a slipstream. I hope everybody can hear me all right. I am aware that I wasn't able to be heard earlier on. And as I said, I'm always looking for feedback in terms of the sort of quality of the stream. So do please let me know if it's a little bit hit and miss here and there. But we'll try and keep our eye mainly on the action unless I get a notification to say otherwise. Here goes Nick Phelps on Max Hunt attempting to unlap himself. Now this could be a dangerous game here, and in fact he goes straight off. So hopefully he doesn't rejoin and take Alec Westbrook off or anybody else. In fact he doesn't, so that's all very well and good. But to be fair, he got a really good run, didn't he? He got that a massive amount of slipstream. As there we go, Hunt already defending into the long right-hander, which has meant he's gone in very hot, very narrow, which always means you're going to come out very wide and quite slow. Doesn't matter pretty much what track or what corner you are driving in. If you go in narrow and fast, you will come out wide and slow. That's the general rule. And obviously, as for most corners in the world, you want to go in slow and come out fast. And unless you're obviously attempting to defend, if you can do both, go in fast and come out fast, obviously you're going the right way for a quick lap time. But general rules, you know, that's what we tend to. That's what I was always told anyway. So, Alec Westbrook, he's the driver that's the closest, as we're about nearly 9 minutes into the 15-minute race here, the second time. Now, we will get a little bit of a break in between the second and third race, which not only my voice will appreciate, but I'm sure you guys will as well, to be able to go to the toilet. These guys, I know Chris Knox is trying to set up the servers. Normally in iRacing, what we do is we go into one server for qualifying in race 1, then we go out of that server and into another one, which gives everybody a touch of a break. But speaking of a break, Max Hunt isn't getting one because Alec Westbrook goes up the inside and he does get the car stopped this time. He's not got into the side of anyone. Trying the cutback is Max Hunt, but it looks like that Alec Westbrook has got that position signed, sealed and delivered. And Kevin McGlone flashing the lights for what I can only assume is saying hello to the cameras. Oh, Max Hunt, where are you going? That would have been an absolutely humongous dive at the inside. Not the most ambitious that we've seen, though, this evening, has to be said. Here's another fight that you could be forgiven for thinking is for the race lead. Because normally, if we mention John Westbrook and Barry Rabbit, they are potential race winners. Well, it isn't to be today because, John Westbrook has already won one race, to be fair. But they are down fighting to be in the top 14. And in fact, John Westbrook's actually just dropped off Barry. He must have screwed up a corner or two earlier on. So unfortunately, it's not to be. Max Hunt hasn't given up the ghost, by the way. And Alec Westbrook getting that slipstream up the Kemmel Straight. However, even though he was on the optimal racing line, Alec was still actually to carry more speed through the chicanes and actually has gained a 2/10 gap on the driver who's currently trying to chase him down in Max Hunt. Peter Jennings, the driver we haven't mentioned that much today, has had an incident and he's loading up the rear. Yep, he's loading up the left-hand side on the curb, tries to turn in, car's unsettled. A lot of speed, and when a car isn't settled, that is already a twitchy rear end car like the Ferrari is, and most GT3s are in iRacing, then you're going to have a problem, unfortunately, but you know, that's the way it is. Apparently these guys are running a fixed setup, for anybody who's wondering, so they designed the setup at Donington, and it's been like that ever since. So if you're wondering what kind of setup they're running, it's a Donington setup, which doesn't really lend itself to the likes of Lime Rock Park, which has a big elevation change. And Donington Park, you don't need that much front end, so all of a sudden you go over what is a huge jump, and then you don't get any front end, the car doesn't come back down, and you end up sliding through air and basically crashing into a wall. Where are we having a look at then? James Kell and Kevin McGlone. Actually, these three are all fighting for potential podium position, to be honest, because obviously these two don't worry about fighting each other. However, saying that, Chris Knox has just started the final lap of the race. That always catches me out because it does say 15 minutes. Oh, Kevin McGlone! Kevin McGlone's come out the final corner and just put too much power through the rear tyres. Ends up spinning around, and let's have a look and see if we can get a roll bar. Now he goes in. That looks fine. Gets a nice apex. Oh, he just puts too much power on where the car was still under load on the right-hand side. And unfortunately, again, rear end's being twitchy here today. That's what can happen. But James Kell, now here he is. Now I know exactly what it feels like to have James Kell hunting you down. It's not a nice feeling. You know that there's going to be a move put at some point, but you probably know that he's not going to be an idiot either. Which is one of the nice things of racing with James. I always enjoyed having a battle with him out on circuit. And Max Hunt looks like he's defending from James. But James is carried around the outside and into the second apex. A fantastic move coming out of the Kemmel straight and in to the chicane. And it looks like he has the move done and dusted. Now he does have Alec Westbrook ahead, but it's unlikely that he's going to catch him, to be honest. The times, all bar one driver, have been slightly slower than the previous race. And that one driver who's been slightly quicker is this man. He's in the lead of the race. A 2 minute 17.9. The only driver I've seen tonight to just cash in on those 2 minute 17s is Chris Knox in the Scuderia Ferrari liveried machine. And to be honest, fantastic. Fantastic drive by him. He's 9 seconds to the good. Not really had a care in the world. The only two drivers that are behind him currently are Vela and Black. And then, as I said, 9 seconds off back to Westbrook. So a really good drive by him. Max Hunt, what's happened to him? He's off the circuit. Oh, no, he's going to rejoin. Hopefully he gets out of the way there. He's overtaken by Martin Thomas, potentially. No, he's found some grip from somewhere and has carried that around the outside. It was just unfortunate there. We'll see if we can find out what's happened to him after we see Chris Knox take what will be the checkered flag. I'm pretty confident on that. He's a good driver and he's going to go into the final couple of corners. Fully in control of the Ferrari. Nice. He doesn't rotate the rear end. Nicely comes on the power. And it is going to be the checkered flag dropping for the second race this evening towards the way of Chris Knox. A fantastic achievement considering he qualified on the... well, he didn't qualify. He was plumb dead last in the first race. Came through to take a fourth position and then has taken the top 6 reverse grid and taken the race victory as well. This is Martin Thomas, as I said, with Max Hunt, who's had that unfortunate incident right at the end as well. He was driving so well, was Max Hunt. But that has allowed James Kell to take a podium position and then Kevin McGlone. And as soon as everybody had crossed the finish line... Oh, hello. We're still fighting, aren't we? Richard Abra, and that is actually not for position, unfortunately. Oh, yes, it is. That was David Harrison, who is now down into 11th place and dropping like a stone ahead. Behind Richard Abra, who we know does have good pace. So, to be fair, we shouldn't be that surprised, in all fairness. Now we will have a little bit of a break after this after this race, and we'll be going potentially coming back with a few interviews in the intermission, but then going into a third race of the evening. I don't think we have to jump out of this server, which is quite nice, a bit of a luxury, but we will be going into the third race of the evening, that's for sure, as Richard Abbott comes across to take the top 10 checkered flag. Just a couple of drivers left to come across the line, and then we'll be able to bring you the full race results, and we'll go through. In fact, while we're waiting for them, actually, we can bring you the race results from race number 1, can't we? We ran through the top 10, but let's go for the main event now. So John Westbrook took the first victory ahead of Alec Westbrook. A little family rivalry settled there. I'm sure not for the first time. Just realised we've got a few drivers that are flying into. We'll just slow that down. A picture of Chris Knox coming across the line. So John Westbrook and Alex Westbrook first and second, with Max Hunt and Chris Knox in third and fourth. Kevin McGlone was 5th with Richard Abra in 5th. What is happening here? Come on. There we go. It's just reloading because everybody had finished across the line. And they're going into the warm-up for the 3rd race of the evening. But we're going to keep on finishing this one. Where did I get to? Richard Abbott 6th, Martin Thomas in 7th place, which Matthew Dickens in 8th with Mark Radcliffe in 9th. Mark White was in 10th place, and then a full minute back from the race winner was the likes of Barry Rabbit, Paul Wafer, Mark Hoskin, Paul Black, Christian Wafer, Sam Marsh, Nick Phelps, and then a lap down is 18th placed Adam Hayes. And we do have more drivers. There we go. James Kell was a lap down as well in 19th. Newell in 20th. Gevorgian in 21st with Jennings 22nd. Harrison 23rd. 24th was Montgomery. Albert Vea in 25th. And Terry Booker was a full 6 laps down. Now with that done and dusted, let's bring you the second result. That is not what we were looking for. There we go. Chris Knox confirmed winner by 9.5 seconds from Alec Westbrook in 2nd place. James Kell in 3rd with Kevin McGlone in 4th. Max Hunt rounds out the top 5 with Martin Thomas ends up in 6th place. Sam Marsh in 7th with Paul Wafer in 8th place. Gevorgi in 9th and Richard Abra came home in top 10. David Harrison was 11th with 12th being Christian Wafer. Barry Rabbit ended up in 13th place ahead of John Westbrook, what looked like a good battle throughout. Albert Vea was the top 15. Now he was a lap down in the start of many. Mark Hoskin 16th, Adam Hayes in 17th, Matt Diggins in 18th position. 19th was Mark White with John Newell in 20th. Andy Montgomery was in 21st, and then 2 laps down was Peter Jennings and Paul Black. 4 laps down was Nick Phelps, and Mark Radcliffe was 5 laps down in 25th with Terry Buckle in 26th position, also 6 laps down. Darren Carl-Weldon James 19th to 3rd. Nice mind. Yeah, very good results there. And as we have, I think 10 minutes before we get into the next, 8 minutes to be fair, before we get into the next race, we're going to go for probably a quick break and see if we can grab some driver interviews, because to be fair, I'm not exactly in the service. So I will try and grab a chat, but we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere.
of the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife, leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying love may never fly. It's black and white. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. It's black and white, just let me go. It's only right for all I know. It's only matter. It's calico. It's black and white. Just let me go. It's only right for all I know. It's only matter. It's calico. It's black and white. White, white, white. It's black and white.
Hello everyone and welcome back. We've come in just a touch earlier so we can remind you of the what's been going on this evening. Basically, we've had two fantastic races here at the Pure GT social races at Spa de Francorchamps, which I do hope I've spelled correctly. I haven't spelled correctly. Apologies about that. There we go, that should be a little bit better. We'll ignore that, but I'll just bypass that. Yeah, we've had a couple of races so far, and we've got one or two more coming up in just a minute as well. So if you haven't remembered already, then let's have a look at the Heat 1 results. This is the first race of the evening. John Westbrook took your race victory from Alec Westbrook, who came quite close, to be fair. It was a good little battle between them, but it was the weight of John in the end. Max Hunt took third place after there was a big incident right at the end between Kevin McGlone and Barry Rabbit as well, right on the final corner of the final lap. Not where you really want to be having those incidents. And if we want to have a look just at the top three of the second race of the evening, well, that went the way of Chris Knox, who was by far and away the class of the field. Alec Westbrook managed to get into second place. James Kell took third place, all the way back from 19th on the grid after Max Hunt unfortunately came off the circuit right at the end as well. That gifted Kevin McGlone at fourth position. And we're only about 10 seconds away from getting into this final race of the evening, which I'm sure everybody is very much excited to watch. And hopefully we'll have that coming to you really rather soon. In fact, we should be pretty much bang on finishing this warm-up now. So thank you very much for everybody tuning in. Apologies to those in the Pure GT. I didn't actually drop the link in the Discord, which is my own fault. But we have the grid for you for the third race of the evening. It is Richard Abra on pole position by Havana Gevorgian in second, Paul Wafer and Sam Marsh third and fourth, with Martin Thomas fifth, Max Hunt in sixth place, Kevin McGlone, James Kell, Westbrook and Knox round out the top 10, so it's top 10 reverse grid. David Harrison and Christian Wafer are 11th and 12th. 13th down is Barry Rabbit, John Westbrook, Albert Veyer, Hoskin, Hayes, Dickens, White. And in fact, I think we are about to go green flag running here. So the lights are coming on, I believe. And with any luck, we'll be able to get some sound coming our way as well. I am not entirely sure what's happening here. Apparently the race is off. There we go. I've no idea. I think iRacing is just about broken itself a touch, but I can confirm this is Richard Abra in the lead of the race. I'm just going to try and reload the overlay. There we go. I'm not entirely sure. Apologies there. We missed the start. Martin Thomas was in second place. Kevin McGlone's in third. Sam Marsh is currently in fourth place. And look at this battle in behind. This is with Paul Wafer. Alec Westbrook on the outside. Paul Wafer on the inside. However, it's going to be turned around. Martin Thomas has had a spin, but he managed to get his car out of the way of everybody else. Sam Marsh in the beautiful looking Ferrari has aided his way through. Chris Knox is looking for any position that he can get on Alec Westbrook, on Paul Wafer, and he's got the job done now as well into the right-handers. So here is Chris Knox. He's already gained 5 positions. Matthew Dickens has gained 10, but Mark Radcliffe is the driver who's gained the most amount of positions. James Kell is all the way down with a very battered-looking car in 19th place, which is where he was in the second race before he took 3rd place. But having said that, I don't think that's going to be the same here. Oh, a massive moment by Max Hunt. And I was about to say fantastic car control as he caught it, but it's not the case. And he ends up spinning off really rather dramatically, doesn't he? A bit of a shame for him there. Here is another battle, though. I mean, this is what we've been hoping for all evening long. Alec Westbrook, Chris Knox. Oh, Alec, no! I was saying that. He's ended up spinning round. He's in 9th place, and he's trying to get back on as cleanly as possible. Hopefully, he doesn't have any damage. Oh, that's absolutely gutting. Just as I was saying that, he's going to probably blame commentator's curse there. Matthew Dickens in the bright pink car going side by side with Paul Wafer, and this is Barry Rabbit in the background, who has had a night to forget and is already being put onto the grass yet again and screaming around the outside. Is Mark Radcliffe as well going into the final corner. Oh, where's Paul Wafer going? Oh, he must have touched the curb on the outside. That's really upset his car. And he went stage exit right as Barry Rabbit and Mark Radcliffe start to make contact yet again. That's allowed, although Barry Rabbit's got a good run from that. Mark Radcliffe was the driver who really suffered, and looks like Dickens was trying to take advantage of both of them, but could only take advantage of the fact that Radcliffe got held up there. Oh my days, it was all go, isn't it? It's all go on this first corner. John Westbrook has had an incident. Oh, John Westbrook, what's happened to him? Well, he's all the way down in 17th position. Is this an explanation why? Or was he there already? He might just be coming into the pits because Spa loves to do that. He is, yes. Spa loves to try and trick me. As well as a few other drivers, but we're going to keep our eye here on Matthew Dickens because he's got ahead of Paul Wafer, but they could be going 3 wide. There's contact between Wafer and Dickens. Lucky that they kept it all on the straight and narrow. Barry Rabbit trying to defend on the inside, and Dickens flicks in and out of existence. He gets the second apex, and here comes Mark Radcliffe again. He's clearly not shy of making his presence known, and maybe he could have just held a bit back and been a bit more safe as Westbrook goes through on him. Oh my days, these guys are really throwing everything at it, aren't they, in this final race of the evening. Barry Rabbit in the top 5, Chris Knox in 4th place, Sam Marsh in 3rd, Kevin McGlone in 2nd, and Richard Abra here in 1st place. That is your running order. And to be fair to Richard Abra, he's got 4.6 seconds gap ahead of Kevin McGlone, and Chris Knox is to go some as well to catch up to the rest of this field. Now, we do know he's about a second quicker than the drivers around him, so that should only take about 2 or 3 laps that we'll see potential moves from Chris Knox on Sam Marsh to take away that 3rd position. So I'm sure Sam will be eager to catch up to Kevin McGlone to make that move done and dusted, but this is still the closest battle we've got on circuit at the moment, with Barry Rabbit and Matthew Dickens. Oh my days, my voice! After not saying anything for 15 minutes, all of a sudden my voice is absolutely gone. I want to see if we can get a quick look at that green flag, because I know we missed it, and I apologise about that. We didn't actually have 2nd place, man. Oh, Martin Thomas got us a good start, but that's because Paul Wafer had an awful start. And Richard Abra leading into the lead of this race, and we know he's going to stay there. And there's a few crashes in the background as well. James Kell gets loaded up before we even get to the first corner. Kevin McGlone gets through into 3rd place, and we know he ends up in 2nd place, and Martin Thomas has a little bit of a spin. But that is essentially what we miss as they go down towards Eau Rouge now. And in fact, this is Paul Wafer's perspective with Alec Westbrook and Max Hunt. And they all get through relatively clean. All the drama happened through Stavolo, to be honest. Chris Knox is already up to 3rd place, so what on earth has happened to Sam Marsh? Let's see if we can have a look, because I don't... Well, Chris Knox certainly wasn't that close before. I think he might just... the door was left open. Oh, he held off the brakes, so... Sam Marsh, that is the definition of not fighting it, I think. That's very undefensive drive by him. To give up the 3rd position was a bit of a shame. But Kevin McGlone is the next driver that is in Chris's sights. And then the real test. Can he catch up to Richard Abra? 6.3 seconds ahead of Kevin McGlone. He's currently 7.1 seconds ahead of Chris Knox. And he only has about 5 laps to do it. There isn't that many laps. In fact, there's only 10 minutes left. Less than 9 minutes left in this race. It's gone by so quickly. It's because we were a bit rushed into it, weren't we, with iRacing deciding to brake for the first half of that. But this is the battle, obviously, we're going to be trying to keep an eye out on, because this is for podium positions. Although they're both on the podium, the last thing we don't want to do is have them both crash out. But hopefully, Kevin McGlone gives a little bit more of a defense than we saw Sam Marsh giving to Chris Knox. I'm sure Chris Knox will probably enjoy a little bit more of a defense as well, a bit more of a fight, obviously, to get the actual proper racing. That's what these guys come here to do. But when sometimes I can understand why Sam Marsh would jump out of the way. Sometimes when a driver is 2 seconds a lap quicker than you, potentially 3 seconds a lap quicker than you, it is probably unwise to fight with that driver. So I do get where Sam was coming from. But look at this, already straight up to the back, going through Blanchimont. That's a big hit off the curb by Barry Rabbit, as Chris Knox is, to be honest, he had to come off the brakes. That's actually quite interesting. So, although Barry ruined his run, he actually, in a big way, ruined Chris Knox's run as well, didn't he? And it was straight into the curb. And Chris actually had to come off the throttle not to run into the back of Barry. But look at this huge move up the inside into the first corner. And that was a big old fake switcheroo, wasn't it? Lovely move by Chris Knox. And he's up to 2nd place. Now, as I said, the challenge is to try and catch up to Richard Abra, 7 seconds in the lead. That's a huge move. And will Kevin McGlone, we'll keep on board with him, because Kevin McGlone will now have the advantage to potentially attack Chris Knox into... Well, up the Kemmel straight into the chicane. Will he take the advantage, though? The slipstream. That's the question. He's about 2 tenths back. It doesn't look like he's going to have enough of a run, but he's still having a look up the inside as Kevin McGlone. Oh, he's going to be looking, but it's not going to happen. Barry Rabbit on the outside as well as Sam Marsh. And this time, Barry Rabbit gets through on Sam Marsh, who takes a little bit of an evasive manoeuvre. And he's still fighting with the bright pink car, though, of Matthew Dickens. Sam Marsh, unfortunately, ends up going further and further back, doesn't he? But I think tonight he wins my vote for the Best Livery Award. I just love the chrome that he's got going on there. It's just stunning. I mean, we have a lot of good-looking cars in this, but... Oh! Paul Wafer! What has happened to you? Paul Wafer, we've had a crash, and we can have a look at it. No, he's not near anyone. That's Alec Westbrook ahead, but he's diving towards the apex, and... Does he go in narrow and fast? He went in narrow and fast. And that's probably the last place you want to do it. And he also spins his car around for good measure. In fact, we just saw Alec Westbrook. Sorry, I'm trying to... This is Alec Westbrook having an incident by the sounds of it. So, he's going in. Does he touch the outside? He's on the curb. Oh, yeah, doesn't pitch it in. He unsettles the car. That can work. But you have to be very, very delicate. It's actually the quickest way to get through the corner. But he has to be so delicate for it, so that's unfortunately a bit of a spin for him. Chris Knox, by the way, has already gained a 2nd on that lap from Richard Abra, but he hasn't got long to get the move done. 6 minutes left before they try and crack on. And this is the battle we're currently looking at, because it's currently the closest battle out on the circuit, really. And Sam Marsh goes very deep and comes off the throttle, and through goes Matthew Dickens. Now, Andy Montgomery, a driver we haven't mentioned that much, and Mark White, very close to each other. But look at this. There's a little bit of a squeal. In fact, he hasn't even got a front end, has he? Mark White. Oh, big look at the inside then. I'll tell you what. There was just enough room, wasn't there, as one of the drivers dived into the pit lane. I think that was Paul Wafer diving into the pit lane, and now Max, it's not Max Hunt ahead of them, it's Paul Newell. Not Paul Newell, it is Newell, John Newell though. Oh, John Newell gets a big sort of move out the way, shall we say, a bit of a nudge from Mark White, who's gone through Stavelo and will try and keep ahead of Montgomery. But tell you what, Montgomery with the huge lunge, and to be fair to Mark White, he gave him the room, didn't he? And that was almost a very good bit of racing. So, as they go through Radion and up the Kemmel Straight, will Mark White be subject to the tow? Will he be the victim of a potential move? It's going to be very tricky. It's a long way back. It'd be very brave, and I thought he was going to try it. I do love these drivers' sort of ambition more than anything else. Christian Wafer is, well, parked. There's no other way to say it. He's looking the wrong way. And I'm trying to see how he's done that. I think he's just done that all on his own. That's not Christian Wafer. This is Christian Wafer. Yep, done it all on his own. Yeah, James Kell behind him, but not for very much longer. By the way, James Kell is already up to 9th place, so he was all the way down to 19th position. He's fought all his way up, so there you go. Darren Kell in the chat, I'm sure watching this will be a very proud dad. Although, Darren, what are you doing not racing on this? You know, get yourself down, get yourself a sim, get each other a sim, an iRacing account, and get some family feuds going, a bit like the Westbrook brothers. Or, well, I don't know if they're brothers or not, but just like the Westbrooks. So, we are on the white lap now, white flag lap. I was about to say we must be right towards the end of the race, because it does like to pull out the white flag lap, potentially a lap earlier than we were expecting. And Montgomery makes a huge hit coming out of the two right-handers onto the sort of back straight. It's not really a straight, but back flat out section. I call it the Blanchimont straight, even though it's really not. I do know the proper names for it, but sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment, you do forget them. Oh no, where's John Westbrook going to go here? Oh, days. Montgomery needs to get to pick a side and stick to it at the moment, because he's really not in the best place. No rig, it's coming soon. Darren, I cannot wait. I've heard some good things about the sort of rigs that these guys have been setting up at home. Sort of rigs that you really want as well. It's awesome to have everybody really investing themselves into the sim racing world, which is ironic really, because I work for a company called Sim Racers World. With any luck, fingers crossed, I'm supposed to be getting a sim as well. I'm getting my garage converted into an office, so as soon as that's available, I'll have a little bit more retail space. I'll be able to have a little bit better, I'll have a broadcasting setup, but I will hopefully, what I've always wanted is a sim rig setup as well, like a proper rig, not just attached to my desk basically. So fingers crossed we'll be able to get that, and we'll be able to get some, maybe get involved with some racing as well on Jacko Racing. If you are tuned in, I'll take this opportunity to say a big thank you to everyone who has tuned in, giving it a like, a comment, a share, a subscribe, whatever you want to do. Unfortunately, I can't see the YouTube sort of likes or shares or anything like that. But I can see the Facebook one, so big thank you to everybody who's doing that. And in fact, Jennifer Phelps, thank you, Monix, for she cuts my hair, for giving it a like on the stream as well. So, I mean, we can't ignore Richard Abra here. He's been the class of the field in this race. He hasn't necessarily been getting the fastest laps, but to be fair, in the last couple of laps, he's actually been faster than the likes of Chris Knox, who was getting in the 2:17s. And actually, if you look at the timing tower, only Barry Rabbit, oh, maybe John Westbrook on one flying lap was quicker than Richard Abra. But as he comes out of the final corner, he almost takes a boot full of power to end this race early. But he does take the checker flag, and it is a third different race victor here this evening. A fantastic drive by Richard Abra. Second place goes the way of Chris Knox. He's got first, he's got second now. I think he had fourth in the first race, so not quite the full house, but a good drive by him as they all start spinning into each other. Max Hunt and James Kell. Oh, can we get a view of this? James defending hard into the final corner. Kind of keep his 9th position away from Max Hunt, and he does so as well going through there. And to be fair, for this race, it was the most amount of drivers we've had who actually stayed on the lead lap, which is always nice as well, always worth noting. Here's Montgomery, who had that huge incident earlier on, but his car looks brand new. Must have taken his fast repair. just behind Christian away for here. We'll be able to bring you the full results finally, and then maybe bring you some interviews as well, which will be quite interesting. We're just waiting for the likes of Paul Wafer and Adam Hayes, to be honest, to get across the line. And to be honest, these races have gone through quite quickly, haven't they? We ended the race with 13 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock. It's supposed to be a 15-minute race, so I don't know if they've got laps attached to them or not. But we were told it was a. We'll have a look. Oh yeah, only 6 laps of racing, so an interesting one. Maybe they just, instead of times, they told me we were going off time, so we'll take that away. We're on lap 7 out of 6 now. But yeah, a good night of racing, I have to say. The driving standards get better. They're a lot better from what we started broadcasting this with. Obviously a little bit of a way to go, but these drivers are new to iRacing. There's no one over the sort of, apart from Chris Knox, there's no one really over the 13 to 1400 mark, which is where you start iRacing. So, yeah, plenty of learning to go. So, the results for race number 3 coming up on your screen. Now, my voice did something very odd then. That was the feature race. That is supposedly the 3rd, just double checking, that is the feature race. But I think maybe we've had a few too many incidents, potentially off-track. Well, Barry Rabbit had 28 off-tracks in total throughout the session. But at the moment, this is your confirmed victory. I will give it a reload because we're supposed to have Richard Abra on top there. But I'm just going to give it a quick reload to see if there's a bit of a difference. No, by the looks of it, this is... I'm just going to double check. Sorry, I just want to make sure this is right. That's the warm-up. That's the consolations. This should be the feature. Well, okay, we'll go for this time. Chris Knox ended up taking the victory ahead of Kevin McGlone. Now, on circuit, Richard Abra took the victory, but it doesn't look like it counted here. Barry Rabbit was rounding out the top 3. Matthew Dickens in 4th place. Sam Marsh in 5th. Alec Westbrook 6th place. And Mark Radcliffe 7th. James Kell ended up in 8th. With Max Hunt in 9th. Mark White in 10th. John Westbrook was in 11th place. Christian Waver in 12th. 13th, Andy Montgomery. Paul Black in 14th. Adam Hayes in 15th. Paul Wafer in 16th. Albert Vea in 17th. And a lap down was Richard Abra. He must have got some big penalty or something, because I'm really not sure what happened there. John Newell in 19th position, with David Harrison in 20th, a couple laps down. Martin Thomas 21st. Mark Hoskin in 22nd. Havanas Gevorgian was 23rd, Peter Jennings 24th, 25th was Nick Phelps, 6 laps down. In fact, the bottom 4 were all 6 laps down, that's good. Gevorgian, Jennings, Phelps and Buckle. So, a bit of a shame for Richard Abra, because he drove a fantastic race, to be honest. And just really gutting that we haven't been managed to... well, we'll have to see if we can catch a word with him. Speaking of catching a word, let's have a look if we've got any drivers happy to come into the interview waiting room. And indeed we have. We have Kevin McGlone, I believe this is. Can you hear me, Kevin?
How's it going?
Not bad. Yeah, congratulations on what turned into be a 2nd place in the end in that final race.
Turned into 2nd. How did that happen?
I'm not entirely sure. My results page says that Richard Abra actually ended up a lap down in 18th position. So I'm not sure if that's a glitch. Either way, you're on the podium, so you must be pretty happy.
Podium, but I think Richard had it from the get-go. He was clearly out in the lead, so it's got to be netcode errors or something.
Yeah, it's an odd one, but we're going to give, obviously it's not a championship, so we'll give Richard the win because he deserved it, I thought. But yeah, 3rd place. I mean, it was a bit of a struggle for you in the first race, wasn't it? You ended up having a bit of an incident going into the final corner on the final lap.
Yeah, I think that was just generally an incident. I don't think there was anything in it. I moved over to close the line to stop coming down my right-hand side. He went down my left, and I think, I've looked back at it. It was just a racing incident. There wasn't anything malicious.
No, it definitely wasn't malicious. It was an ambitious move, don't get me wrong, by Barry, I feel like. But you're right, it probably goes down as a racing incident. The 2nd race, I can't actually quite remember where you came in the 2nd race. Do remind us.
I think I came fifth in the end in the second race as well. I think some of the faster guys start catching up with me.
Well, I mean, it's well, that with its third place, it's a fairly solid set of results, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm happy. I don't like the car at Spa. I've been moaning all. I haven't had any practice time, but at 7 o'clock when I jumped on for practice, I was moaning that I won't. I've just started driving the Lamborghini, and it's got much more turning.
Oh, really? So are you sort of turning towards, pardon the pun, turning towards the Lamborghini at this point instead of the Ferrari potentially?
Yeah, well, we're doing this season as a one make, and it is the Ferrari. But I've been doing other stuff with the Lamborghini. We've also got an open, less regulated races going on a Friday night behind closed doors, if you will, and ABS and traction control is fully adjustable as well, where it's just fixed in this setup. And the Lambo doesn't feel as fast, but it is actually quicker. It's strange because it sounds better. It just doesn't feel as fast as Ferrari, but when you look at your times, it's quicker.
That's very interesting. I mean, I won't pry too much into the Friday night series, but do you reckon that's potentially this Wednesday night with the broadcast and everything may turn into a multi-car class in the end, with drivers being, once they're a bit more used to the iRacing setup, to sort of almost pick their own preferences?
Yeah, I think in time there's possibility for that. Obviously, I think we had 26 drivers tonight, 25 or 26 drivers, which is great. And I think what we need to do is we need to cut our teeth on a couple of circuits that we all know. It looks like we might be doing Brands Hatch Grand Prix next week. And a lot of us are familiar with that circuit in real life. And then we'll mature it from there on in.
Well, sounds exciting, I'm sure. Thank you very much, Kev. Was there anybody you'd like to give a quick shout out to before we let you go off the broadcast?
No.
Fair enough. We'll let you go then, Kev. Enjoy your evening.
Take care. Thanks for your time. Cheers. Bye.
And that was Kevin McGlone. And I've just seen jumping into the interview waiting room is a driver that I'm quite interested in talking to be honest. James Kell, welcome.
Hello, Jack. How are you?
I'm not bad, mate. How are you? I didn't realise you were involved with the sim racing world.
Just a little bit, trying to get into it a little bit more. So this is I think this is the second PGT race I've done, and I don't really do much iRacing. So it was just trying to get some practice in today and learn the track in the sim, and then just see what I could do.
Well, I mean, you were pretty quick to be fair, but I mean, that's not really a great surprise to me. I was speaking to Chris Knox a couple of weeks ago, and he said that, there's a guy called Darren Kell who uses his son James's setup. So I'm slightly surprised that he has not kicked you off and to jump on the sim himself. What's the deal there?
Oh, it was one of the Alton race. My dad was meant to do it, and then he's in a different place to where I am, and his sim rig wasn't up to the scratch, and he was stuttering quite a lot. So then he was like, "Oh, will you do it for me instead?" And everyone thought it was my dad racing, and then when I did okay in the Alton race, then my dad had to actually tell them that it wasn't him because I did too well. so yeah, that was quite funny. But I was just trying to get into it, and these guys seem really competitive, and it's a good grid. I just got a bit unlucky in the races.
Yeah, I was going to say the first race you got turned around quite heavily. I think it was the first
yeah.
race. Yeah, that looked like a scary one. It's been there in real life, as you know, but it's a difficult view when you're looking at 20-odd cars coming straight at you.
Yeah, no, I was in the air. Well, I was stuck on. I think it was Mark Radcliffe's car, and I just I couldn't move. I was like trying to turn the steering and brake and accelerate, and there was nothing I could do. I was just stuck, like I felt like I was floating down this track, and then eventually I got knocked off his car, and then I could move a bit, but I was heavily damaged at that point, so I just went back to the pits and then tried for the next race. And I think I did all right. I think it was like 19th I started, and then third in the second race, so it wasn't too bad to come back.
You were definitely one of the movers and shakers in the second race, that's for sure. Going off the sim, obviously a little bit, because I mentioned in the qualifying and stuff like that when I saw your name that obviously you're a real life racer, and obviously most people know that because most people who are driving in the sim are the ones watching this broadcast. But what's your plan for 2021 then? Because obviously you were with Toyota in the British GT last year, weren't you?
Yeah. No, I was with Toyota and developing the new Supra with them, and it's a cracking car, cracking team. But staying in British GT. But I don't know where. Well, I do know, but I don't know where I'll be in which team I'll be in 2021. I can't say it yet. So no, it's going to be interesting for sure, and I'm just looking forward to the challenge ahead.
Go on, say it. Are you in the new Ginetta?
No, no.
Oh, damn it! I was hoping you'd be able to tell me what it's like.
No, I did see that come across the table, but no, I'm not in the new Ginetta, so I can't tell you what it's like, unfortunately.
That's a shame. I was looking forward to maybe off air hearing about it, but no, we'll let you go, James. Good luck for the British GT. I'm sure we'll chat again if you carry on racing with the Pure GT lot. And if you want to get involved in any other sim racing, then hit me up on Discord, because I do have. Yeah, we do cover a lot of series on Jacko Racing, so
okay.
It'll be really cool.
Brilliant.
Is there anything you'd like to give a shout out to, James, before we go? Maybe your new team.
You almost got me there, to be honest. I'll just say hi to my mum and dad. I think hello, and that's all I can think of at the moment. So yeah, thanks for the broadcasting.
That's all right, no worries. Yeah, there you go, Darren, bigging you up there on the stream. Thank you very much, James. We'll potentially chat to you next time.
All right, cheers, bye.
And that was James Kell, one of my old competitors in the G55 Super Cup. And last but not least, we'll bring in Barry Rabbit. Now, Barry, it was a tough night for you, wasn't it? Oh, are you there, Barry?
Can you hear me, Jack?
Yes, I'm here. Hello. How are you?
It was tough. It was, yeah, look, I normally try and stay out of trouble, but I didn't really succeed on that one tonight. So, yeah, it's good fun. We had the pace coming into it, but yeah, just a back qualifying left us back to grid and trying to work our way back up and stay out of the madness, but enjoyable.
Well, you certainly, as you said, were a little bit in the wars, weren't you, towards the beginning. Well, towards the end of the first race, apologies, with a rather opportunistic move, I believe, on one Kevin McGlone. We've already had a chat about him. Talk us through that from your perspective.
Yeah, I was just talking to Kev about it there, actually. So I was closing back in on him, and then you were coming to the last corner, and he defended the inside. So I just said I'd have a go at the outside, because if it goes wrong, at least I'm not going to spear into the side of him. But I looked at it back. It was the tiniest little bit of contact, little rub. But unfortunately, the physics of the game just threw poor Kev way off, which was unfortunate, because that's not what we were out to do. But I tried to let him get back by me then, because I didn't want to, take the position that way. But yeah, it was one of those things. I think it was just a little more of a glitch than anything, because the rub didn't justify the end result, I don't think.
No, well, we were looking at it back on the stream, to be honest, and didn't think there was anything malicious, obviously, in it, because you're not that type of driver. But I did comment that it was an ambitious move, and yeah, I love the fact that you were about three car lengths back, and you thought, I can do it, why not?
I figured I'd have a go. I'm a little bit stronger on the brakes there into that one. I play with the bias coming up to that corner, and it helps a little bit. But yeah, as I say, I knew it was going to be a lunge, but that's why I went for the outside to try and stay out of harm, but it didn't really work out.
No, unfortunately. But the third race worked out a little bit better, didn't it? Because you ended up coming home in fourth on the track. Now, I don't know if there's a bit of a netcode problem, because it's Richard Abra did win on track. We saw it on the live stream and everything, but for some reason on the results, it put him all the way down to 18th, which means you might have actually got a podium position, but obviously there's no point.
Oh, hey.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, well, I'm sorry to hear that, because I think, yeah, it was a messy start. The car in front of me didn't move, and I had to swerve while still under power, and I got all out of shape. And then, yeah, I managed to hit the pit limiter in the middle of trying to gather it all up on the steering wheel, which didn't help. So, yeah, on the back foot, and then just work way back up. It's a reasonable pace here at Spa, as a track that one of the very few tracks I've done a bit on iRacing on. So, we had a bit of pace, so we were able to work our way back up, and slowly catching up on Kev, but just ran out of laps. And yeah, I don't know what happened, Richard, but yeah, I know I won't inherit a third place that way. I think Richard won it, to be fair. So happy enough just to enjoyable night's racing.
Yeah, I think we'll give it to Richard as well. I mean, there is no points on offer, so it's not exactly disputable. He won it on track, so yeah. No, I mean, at least you caught the fact that you actually did hit the pit limit. So I accidentally hit that after stalling on my first ever race in the Ginetta G55. And didn't realise what I'd done, and drove around the entire first lap of Brands Hatch Indy with 60-kilometre limiter on, and had to come into the pits because I didn't know what I hit. And my crew chief basically said, "You're an idiot. You hit the 60-kilometre limit." Brilliant. Thanks very much.
We've all done it. I've done it in my Formula Renault. Very similar thing. Coming out of a corner, got sideways and hands everywhere, and all of a sudden the spit limiter. But luckily, it was only in testing. So I think we've all done it.
Yeah, it can easily be done if you're unfamiliar with the car, especially. Well, Barry, we'll let you shoot off to enjoy your evening. But before we do, is there anything you'd like to give a quick shout out to?
No, just the guys playing. It's great to see. Sorry, no, you're not supposed to say playing when it's simulators.
Don't worry, we're not that serious here.
Yeah. No, just look, all the guys that come on. We've got a good group of guys there. There's good crack in the background in the Discord channel. So just to everyone that comes along, yourself for doing the streams, it's great to be able to watch them back. Some weeks is better than others. Like I might watch this one back just as quick. But just to all the guys that come along and have a bit of fun with us on a Wednesday evening. We're all enjoying it, and for anyone that's watching in, thanks for doing that too. And we'll see you next week. I think we might be at Brands Grand Prix next week. It's the word on the street. We've a little poll running in the background, and it's winning at the minute over Suzuka and Zandvoort. So it looks like we're in Brands Grand Prix.
3 great tracks, though. To be fair, whichever win there will be really exciting. I'm sure. I've driven. Not driven Suzuka, but I've driven the other 2, and they'd be awesome in the Ferrari. So, thank you very much, Barry. We'll let you enjoy your evening.
Thank you again. Good night.
And that was Barry Rabbit. And on that note, we're going to bring the stream to a nice end. Thank you very much for watching. My name has been Jack Oliphant on Jacko Racing for the Pure GT social sim races here at Spa de Francorchamps. By the sounds of it, will be a Brands Hatch, so catch it next time. Subscribe, like, follow, do whatever you want to do. But make sure you're tuned to Jacko Racing next Wednesday at 8:15. We'll be going back live for more GT social racings. Thank you very much. Hello. You're not supposed to be seeing me right now. I don't know. I'll just hit end.